Welcome back to another session of biochemistry classes. In today's class, we will be going on to study about Human Genome Project, or we also call it as HGP. So, Human Genome Project was conceived in the year 1984 and it was officially started in 1990. The main objective of Human Genome Project was to determine the nucleotide sequence of the entire human nucleotide genomes. So in 1997, the US established the National Human Genome Research Institute, and then uh, internationally, many countries also joined to form an international human genome sequencing consortium. So, with this introduction, we'll go on to understand what Human Genome Project is. It is an international scientific research project with the goal of determining the complete sequence of nucleotides of the human DNA. And it also helps in identifying and mapping of all the genes of the human genome. So that there are many goals for the Human Genome projects, and these are estimating the total number of genes, identifying and locating the position of all these genes in the human genome, also in understanding the dynamics of the gene expression, which will improve our ability to provide better diagnosis, treatment and prevention of disease, also help in determining the sequences of the billions of the nucleotides in the DNA, storing this information in a databases and developing tools for data analysis. So the Human Genome Project was first started off by Francis Collin and Greg Venter, the leaders of the Human Genome Projects, and they announced the working drafts of the Human Genome Sequence. So we'll go on to what is mapping of the human genome. So there are different types of the maps which we can be done. One is a cytogenic map, the map of chromosome in which the active genes respond to a chemical dye and display themselves as bands on the chromosomes. And then you have the gene linkage map. Here the active genes are identified by locating closely associated marker gene. So most commonly used marker DNAs are the restriction fragment length polymorphism. We also call it as RFLP. And then you have the variable number tandem repeats, that is VRTR, that is also called as mini satellites. And then you have the short tandem repeats, that is STRs, or we also call it as micro satellites. And then you have the restriction fragment map, that it consists of random DNA fragments that have been sequenced. And then you have the physical map, that is a map of the chromosomes with highest resolution base sequence. This depicts the location of the active genes and the number of bases between the active genes. So you have four types of mapping of human genome, that is a cytogenic, and then you have the gene restriction, then you have the restriction fragment map, and then you have the physical map. So next we'll go on to the different methods by which the gene mapping can be done. So you have the DNA sequencing, that is a physical map of the DNA can be identified with the highest resolution. Then you have the use of probes, that is the RFLPs, STS and SNPs. And then you have the radiation hybrid mapping, that is a fragment genome into the large pieces and locates the markers and the genes, and it requires a somatic cell hybrids. And then you have the FISH, which we otherwise known as fluorescence in situ hybridization, to locate a gene on the chromosome. And then you have the sequence tagged site mapping, that is applicable to any part of the DNA sequence if some of the DNA sequence information is available. Then you have the expressed sequence tag mapping, that is EST. Here a variant of the STS mapping, that is expressed genes are actually mapped and located. And then you have the pulsed field gel electrophoresis, PFGE, that is for separation and isolation of the large DNA fragments. Then you have the cloning in the vectors, that is the plasmid, phages, cosmids, yeast, YAGC, BAC, that is the yeast artificial chromosome and the bacterial artificial chromosome. And then these are used to isolate the DNA fragments of the variable length. Then you have the polymerase chain reactions, that is PCR, to amplify the gene fragments. Then you have the chromosome walking. These are useful for cloning of overlapping of the DNA fragments, that's restricted to about 200 kb. Then you have chromosome jumping, that is, the DNA can be cut into large fragments and circularized to use in chromosome walking. Then the deduction of the cytogenic abnormalities, that is, certain genetic diseases can be identified by cloning the affected genes. Example, you have the Duchenne's muscular dystrophy, or we call it as DMD. Then you have the databases, that is, the existing databases facilitates the gene identification by comparison of the DNA and the protein sequences. So these are the different methods by which the mapping of the human genome can take. And then you have something where there is little highlights of more of the human genome. That is, the draft represents about 90% of the entire human genome. It is believed that most of the important parts have to be identified. The remaining 10 sequence are at the ends of the chromosomes, like the telomeres, and also around the centromeres. So the human genome, it is composed of 3200 MB, that is 3.2 billion base pairs. Approximately 1.5 to 1.5% of the genome codes for proteins. It's approximately around 24% of the total genome is composed of introns, that splits the coding regions, that's the exons, and appear as repeating sequences with no specific functions. So the number of protein coding genes is in the range of 30,000 to 40,000. An average gene consists of 3,000 bases. The size, however, vary greatly. That is, the dystrophin gene is the largest known human gene with 2.4 million bases. Then you have chromosome 1, that's the largest human chromosome that contains the highest number of genes. It's around 2,968, while the Y chromosome has the lowest. The chromosomes also differ in the GC content and the number of the transposon elements. So the genes and the DNA sequences associated with many diseases such as breast cancer, muscle diseases, deafness, and blindness have been identified. About 100 coding regions appear to have been copied and moved by the RNA based transpositions, that is, retrotransposons. So the repeated sequence constitute about 50% of the human genome. A vast majority of the genome, that's around 97%, has no known function. So between the human, the DNA differs only by zero point 0.2 to 1 in 500 bases. So more than 3 million single nucleotide polymorphism have been identified, and the human DNA is about 98% identical to that of the chimpanzees. About 200 genes are close to that found in the bacteria. So most of the genome sequence is identified. So this, how it is done, the individual differences in the genome vary. Individual except the genes, every individual except the twins have their version of genome sequences. So the differences between an individual are largely due to a single nucleotide polymorphism. So the single nucleotide polymorphism represents the positions in the genome where some individuals have one nucleotide and the others have a different nucleotide. So the frequency of occurrence of the single nucleotide polymorphism is 1 per 1000 base pairs. About 3 million single nucleotide polymorphism have been present and at least half of them have been identified. So there are certain analogs or sidelines about the human genomes. Like for example, the base sequence in the human genome would fill about 200 telephone books of 1000 pages each. So if each genome is recited at a rate of 1 base per second for 24 hours a day, it would take a centuries to recite the book of life. So if a typist types at the rate of 60 words per minute, that is 360 letters, or 8 hours a day, he or she would take around 50 years to type the human genome. So if the DNA sequence is typed in a line 10 centimeters containing 60 nucleotide bases and printed, the human genome from a single set would stretch a distance of 5,000 kilometers. So if the DNA in the entire human body is put end to end, it would reach to the sun and back over 600 times. So the total expenditure for the Human Genome Project would take around $3 billion. So that's a huge sum. So this is some analogs or some sidelines about the human genome apart from the proper gene project, Human Genome Project. So how is the organization of the human genome? You have to know of the 3200 MB, only a small fraction represents actual genes, while the rest is due to the gene related sequences and intergenic DNA. So the intergenic DNA represents the part of the genome that lie between the genes which have no functions at all. So this part of the DNA, we call it as the junk DNA. So in the next, you can see this is the human genome, that's around 3200 MB. So the genes and the related gene sequence is around 1200 MB. So the genes, that is 48 MB, and related gene sequence you have 1152 MB. The intergenic DNA, right? So these contain about 2000 MB. So you have the long intercepted nuclear elements, that's about 640 MB, and then you have the short intercepted nuclear elements, that's 420 MB, and then you have the LTR, that is long terminal repeat elements, that's 250 MB. Then you have the DNA transposons, that is around 90 MB, microsatellites 90, and the others, that is around 510 MB. So this is an overview of the organization of the human genome. Next, we'll go on to the genes that really represent in the present in the human genome. So two human genome projects differ in their estimate of the number of the genes, which can range around 30,000 to 40,000. The reason for the variation is difficult to recognize the DNA sequences which are genes and which are not genes. Okay, so the number of genes is much lower than the proteins, suggested that the RNA editing is widespread so that a single mRNA can code for more than one protein. So around 17.5% of the gene participates in the biochemical functions of the cells, 23% in maintaining of the genome, 21% in single transduction, 38 are involved in production of the structural protein, transport protein, immunoglobulins, and the other proteins which are required for the function in the body. So next we'll have a look at the genes that present in the humans. So this is the upstream of the gene and this is the downstream. So here is the start of the biological information and this is the end. So you have the exons and the introns, exons and the introns, exons. So these are the structure of the basic human gene. So next we'll have a look at what are the functions as we said. So this shows the functions of the genes of the human gene catalog, which plays an important role in synthesis of certain proteins. So about 17.5%. the general biochemical functions of the test cells, and then you have 21.1, that's for the single signal transduction, 23.2 in maintenance of the genome and reciprocal expression. Then 38.2, they have various other functions like the structural protein, immunoglobulins, and then you have the transport proteins, etc. So these are the different genes which are present in the human genome. So we'll go on to next, the applications of the human genome sequencing. So they help in identification of the human genes and their functions. So they help in understanding of polygenic disorders, example cancer, hypertension, diabetes. Then also they help in improvement of in the gene therapy and improve diagnosis of a particular genetic disease. It also blocks meant for pharmacogenomics, then genetic basis of psychiatric disorder, understanding of complex social trait, then improves the knowledge on mutation and better understanding of development of biology, and also for comparison of genomics and development of the biotechnology. So these are all the uses of learning the human genome sequencing. So this is about the Human Genome Project. So this Human Genome Project comes as a short note, or it is asked as a Viva question. So you'll have certain short notes also pertaining to it, like RFLP. Then you have the polymorphism, DNA polymorphism can come as question, right? So this finishes with Human Genome Project. The next class we'll go on to the next molecular biology topic. Thank you.